me show you how easy or hard it is. We're going to do a little example. So, here are 4 expenses. You will see the description on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side is the right expense category.
Check it first.
So, help me categorize these expenses, please. Which category do you think, number 1, is for us? Personal other? Any other guesses? Okay, maybe an easier one. Sell to Augustine Payne. Which category is this for?
Mike.
Okay, that one. Number 3, select lines. Furniture, yeah, that's right. Towards the wood, but yeah. A for something else. Okay, yeah, you got it right. This only took, I should have timed it. But yeah, this took about a minute. Now, if you have to do this 1,000 times, maybe if I spend an hour every day between the tax day, I would do this. So, you know.
But is this because you're using the same account for business and personal?
Well, it's not just one account. It's multiple accounts, and it's messy, and it's kind of complicated and stuff like that. Yeah, it is because of that. Like I said, we are not present because. But anyway, this is my situation. This is the problem I have. I thought, hey, let me bring the AI to the rescue. And so what we're going to talk about today is a few pieces that I use.
My device says to
So I'll talk about text embeddings, about classification, and then some of the tools that I use. Any questions for Itai? Alright. So last week, Alex talked a little bit about text embeddings. So we learned here. I'm going to share my perspective about this. So text embeddings is a way to take text, words, long sentences, whatever, and represent them with vectors, numbers, based on the meaning of words. What does that mean? So for example, here are a few random words that I say, water, dot,
One microphone. It's just, I just changed it. I just changed it.
Where each word will get a point in that multi-dimensional space. Now, some interesting things you might see here is that Moana is closer to a rat than it is to the cities. That the relationship between Moana and rat is similar.
It's still not. Yeah. Where's the other?
Yeah, so to represent words with this, it's useful for a lot of different tasks. If you're doing search, and you're trying to find, you have a query, and you're trying to find a document that's best that you can use text embedding to do that. Using translation, you find what's the word that's closest to rat in Spanish, and that's exactly what it is. If you want to summarize text, you have a very long text, and you have a summary, and you want to choose which summary is best. You want to find what is the vector that's closest to this text, and the summary vector. In the classification question, is the one an animal, or is it the city? So a lot of these things that you can do once you have text for something. Now, the research on modeling language started in the 90s. There was a paper in 2003 that suggested using deep learning models to try and predict stuff from like a large set of text, and on the way build that representation for the words, for the text that's in there. They proposed this method, but it was actually so expensive to run that model, to actually train it, that it was not possible to do it necessarily at that time. In 2008, a few years later, there actually was the first paper that showed here's an example of using embedding to solve multiple different tasks, like I was talking about earlier, like classification, words, stuff like that. But it took until 2013 for one of the most famous algorithms called word-to-vector that really took a leap in how easy it was to calculate that embedding, go from a word into a vector, that it became like a very popular thing to do. We'll take the words, we'll turn them into numerical vectors, and suddenly they say this one paper launched 1,000
It works.
And now in the 2020s, embeddings are actually some things that have to happen when you're using large language models, obviously language and modeling and stuff all the dots here are animals, blue ones are dogs, pink are clothing, so you can kind of start to see the different separation of this vector space, the different words based on it. One last thing about the large language models. So this is just an example. You have a large text, the text itself doesn't matter. The first thing that happens with this text is the model learns how to represent that with vectors. Then there's like a huge large language model that does all this stuff. It comes up with a vector result that gets turned into words at the end. These
Yeah, it's not necessarily the convergence of the specific vectors, but in the relationships between them and stuff like that, there is a lot of similarity that people are finding. Cool. So, how do you find these embeddings? So this is a cute AI card. If it's true that you are what you eat, then I am fast, cheap, and easy. And finding embeddings is actually fast, cheap, and easy. So let me show you how to do this. These are examples from the OpenAI API page. It just shows you how to do it. I hope you can see it, but basically, I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 lines of code here. You open the OpenAI client. You send it, here's my input. Your text string goes here. You choose which model to use, and then you're done. It'll give you the response of the embedding for that input text that you had. Cheap. So here are examples of 3 models that OpenAI has for their embedding models, small, large, and kind of the older one. The price to get embeddings for 62,500 pages of text is $1. So it's very cheap. Fast, well, actually, you kind of have to do an individual API call for every single thing that you want to embed. So for me, I had 4,000 rows of descriptions that I wanted to get, so I had to do 4,000 API calls. It took an hour, in the for loop, but that's way faster than I would have done if I just had to read all this 4,000 rows. Yeah, so fast, cheap, and easy. Basically, what I did then is I took the description of every one of those line items that you saw, like the AWS, the Augustine Painter, like the Kalura Trattoria, whatever, and I created a vector embedding for it. So then I could use those, and ideally, all the restaurants would be similar to one another. All the painting would be similar to one another, all the renovations and stuff like that. That's what I at least hoped. So we'll see how that worked. Before we move on to classification, any questions on embeddings?
So the best way to do that is before doing the writing on the Excel, maybe it's having like how you say that, like parameters of words that you have to use, so it makes easy to the model
To turn it into a vector?
yeah.
So I didn't have to do anything. All I have to do is I have 4,000 of these rows. Each row has a description of something, right?
The restaurant has like a different language name. Language.
Yeah, doesn't matter actually, because basically OpenAI takes any text that you have and is going to create a vector for it, right? So if, for example, like Calura Trattoria is in Italian, really, like the words, right? But it's gonna figure out that it's similar to whatever. Well, not McDonald's, obviously, but whatever, like an actual like good restaurant, you know. So it probably figured that out, yeah. So it doesn't need you to do anything. It just reads the text.
We don't have to classify it like trattoria and restaurant.
No, I didn't do anything like that. This is what I wanted the model to do for me. Yeah.
Have you considered using like, or have you explored like no-code tools to do some of this?
Yes, so I looked for software for accounting actually that does this, and some of them boast, oh, we have AI that helps you whatever categorize your expenses and whatever. There are a few on the market that claim to do this. I tried a couple. One of them is called Copilot, not the Microsoft Copilot, but a different one, Copilot Money. It wouldn't let me upload my data from like last year and stuff like that, so I would still have had to go and like do a bunch of this manually. So I was hoping, okay, maybe I just write a little bit of code. And by the way, I didn't write any of this code. The secret is Gemini wrote all this code for me. Yeah, I was hoping it will do something, but I do think for our actual life, we need some sort of software to do this rather than me writing code every year for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I've been playing around with this no-code tool called, or I guess no-code library called Flowwise.
Oh, yep.
Which sits on LangChain, and it basically it's like a drag and drop
Yep.
to do all this. And what I found that's interesting is you can like change, you can try different embedding models. You can like upload the CSV and then like chunk it and then create embeddings from that. So it's interesting. Yeah. So like for playing around, especially, it's been like super helpful so far.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Actually, there was a talk like a few months ago. Someone from the group was showing Flowwise. I thought it was an amazing tool. Yeah, but yeah, I tried this, and honestly, the code was so easy, and I didn't write any of it. So like, all right, I'll show you some code now. Actually, so classification. So now what I had was numerical data. I had 4,000 rows of, dates. So I can turn that into a month, the week and the year, the day, like maybe an expense on a weekend. It's more clearly personal than something on a weekday or whatever. The amount, the account that it came from, and here is the vector embedding, right? All the text of the description turned into this vector embedding. So now I have all a bunch of these numbers, and this category ID was based on last year where I had actual data that like we had reviewed and knew what category things fit in, right? So I had this numerical data, and I wanted to train a model that would learn from what I did last year and then apply the same thing for the 2023 data. So this is the code that Gemini wrote. I'm going to walk you through it because it's not actually complicated, and you'll see how easy it is to train a model and run it in like a few lines of code. So again, I didn't write this. If you have any complaints about the code, for those people who do understand it, you go to Gemini, but I'll read anyway what it does. So basically, it uses Python, and Python has a bunch of these libraries that are already ready-made for classification. Random forest classifier is one name of these libraries, and it just loads it. It loads a function that gets the accuracy score, that trains the data, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, what's happening here is I'm loading the files that I just cleaned up a little bit before, put the date and the month and the stuff, etc. I'm selecting the features. Which features am I going to use to train this model, right? So the features I'm using is the amount of the expense, the month, the week, day, the account ID that I gave it, right? Like this account, whatever, and the embeddings, which we already talked about. And all I did is I'm defining, here are the features for you to use. Next, it's defining two vectors. X is the data from 2002. Just give me the columns of these features that I want. And the Y is the output, is the category ID. This is the output like that of the correct category that I had, right? So I have X and Y. This next thing is taking the data from 2022 and it's splitting it into a test, into a training set, and into a test set. What does that mean? It's taking, let's say, 80%. It's going to train the model on that 80%, and then it's going to test how well did I do on the other 20% where it actually has the answers already, because I already categorized those, right? So, and it's doing this, I think, a couple of times. It's splitting the data and whatever, and training a model and testing how well did the model actually do, right? And then here are the two rows where it's training a full model and running it. CLF equals random forest classifier, run, fit, done. That's it, 2 rows of code. I didn't do anything, Gemini did it. And then it evaluates it. So it checks, here's the Y predicted, predict based on the test set, what the categories are, and then give me the accuracy between the real data, the test data, and what you predicted, right? And then print. This is it. This is the code. And here were the, oh, this is so hard to see. Here were the results of the 2022 categorization. So I tried 3 models. Random forest, it's a name. I can talk about it, but it's not super important. 82% accuracy. So 82% of the rows, it categorized correctly. The rest, no. K nearest neighbors is another model, 73% accuracy, and in naive Bayes, another model, get 69% accuracy. So obviously, I decided I want to choose the one that had the best accuracy. Do you have a question? No. Oh, okay. So yeah, I chose the random forest classifier. 82%. I was very excited. I was hoping it will give me, the answer to all my problems. And then I went and I manually reviewed the results. And this is the overall accuracy that I got for 2023. I only got 49% accuracy for the categorization. So, I got the result. I went through it, not line by line exactly, but just kind of like spot testing. And I saw, well, it wasn't exactly 82%. Now, what happened? I looked into it. And so the number one reason was actually garbage in, garbage out. The 2020 data that was categorized, everything that was personal, somebody just put into the personal category and didn't further classify it into like whatever, travel, meals, healthcare, stuff like that. And I kind of did want it classified. So if I didn't have that data to train on, it wouldn't know how to do that properly. So that's probably a reason why I took a hit. Now here are some potential ideas for improvement that I thought about but didn't have time to do. So one, the categories themselves, they have meaning, like meals or health or painting. Like you saw them, you were able to figure it out based on the meaning of the category. In this little exercise, I didn't use the meaning. I could have taken that category text, made an embedding of that, and then said, okay, this description text that you got, tell me which vector it's closest to. So Kalura Trattoria, it might already figure out this is actually closest to meals from all the other categories. It might do that on its own. I just didn't try that yet, but I bet it would help improve the accuracy actually. Here's a potential improvement. I could keep more organized records. So if anyone here has any recommendations on how to do that, I'm open to hearing about it. And potential improvement, Billy the AI accountant, anyone? Like have an AI accountant that just does all this for you. And here, I'm just going to combine what we talked about earlier about the video. Oh, yeah, I'll skip ahead with the video with this AI accounting. I'll just show a little video that I created using Runway ML to talk about taxes.
Another day, another line item. Every day, one day closer. The numbers won't stop coming. It's cold, but you're sweating from within. You ignore it, but it creeps up every year. April the 5th.
Hi, I'm Billy. I'm your AI bookkeeper, and I track those line items while you sleep. I know what's what, and if I don't, show me once and I got it. So this year, you can rest easy, and let me take care of the books for you. Billy AI, I got your bills. You go catch some chills.
If anyone wants to build this, let me know. All right, I'll go back just to talk a little bit about the tools that I used here. So I said I use Gemini. So Gemini Advanced is now available. It's like Google's most advanced LLM model, and it costs $20 a month to use it, same like to ChatGPT Pro. But I had a previous subscription to Google, and they converted it to this, so I got a few months for free, and I've been playing with it. My score, I think it's 8 out of 10. It's pretty similar to GPT. Actually, in some cases, it's more interesting and opinionated, and I'm getting more interesting results from it. But sometimes it just completely forgets everything and says, I can't help you with that in the middle of a conversation. You just can't continue. I don't know why this happens. It's very weird, but it does, so it's kind of annoying. And then all the code that you saw, I really like Replit. It's this online development environment. You don't have to know anything. You just ask Gemini, what do I do? And you create a thing in Python or in Node.js and whatever. You paste it. If you get errors, ask Gemini about the errors and it will fix it for you. So this is how I, not really a coder, handle all these coding tasks. And that's it. So thank you for listening to my story about taxes. And the asterisk here, it's small. Don't forget your taxes. AI won't do them for you yet. So, all right. Any questions?
It's not a question, it's a helpful comment maybe. My 2005 version of Intuit QuickBooks that I run on a virtual machine so I never have to upgrade or replace it and don't have to pay any more money for something that does what it's supposed to do. Every time I enter an expense, it asks for a vendor. Where did you buy it from? And then that gets associated with an expense type. So every time from that point on, when I send money to that same vendor, it goes automatically into the right category. So I don't end up with a pile like this at the end of the year. It flows right through, and then I have all my totals ready to go.
Awesome. I'm
So
glad.
For $5 on eBay, maybe you can get a 2005 version of QuickBooks with the access code, and I'm rather satisfied with it.
That's super cool. Thank you.
I'll be doing my taxes from there this year too.
Yeah, awesome. Actually, you know, it's interesting. When I was looking for software to do this, you may have all heard about Mint. It was one of the biggest kind of like providers, right? But Mint shut down, and people are so upset at like, well, what do we do now, right? So people are looking for replacements. But you know, I think it's either go back to 2005, or maybe we can move forward with the time and get like an actual like AI accountant to do this for us. So
that was a good year for it.
yeah.
It doesn't badger me to buy anything or upgrade or go get tax tables or anything like that. It's
Cool.
dormant. It just does what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. Good old days.
Yes.
Awesome. Other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. And don't forget your taxes. All right.